I remember they paid £550 for it. That was a brand new 3-bedroom with a bathroom. And obviously, you know, as one of a family growing up, I mean, as the children expanded, you know, so we had 3 in a bedroom rather than 1. I remember particularly, as say, Cromwell Road School, and then after that we went on to St Mary's School, and that was where the Weymouth Library is now. We went there from 7 till we were 11. And that was right through the war, when we used to go along to Christchurch, which was at the end of Park Street, overlooking the station. There was a big church there, and that was our cookery nook. So we used to go from St Mary's School, walk along to the cookery nook and have our lunches. It used to cost 4p, old money. For the dinner. We were given 4p to spend on the dinner. I can still remember the smell of cabbage when you used to go into, oh God, you know, cabbage again, but obviously you had to have what was available at the time.
I was born in the Nativity Gardens in Franchise Street.
What school did you go to?
Holy Trinity.
And that was just up the road, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how many times was your house hit in the war? How many times did the ceiling come down?
7, I think.
7 times.
Yeah.
So they had to be replaced 7 times.
Yeah.
Imagine the mess that was made, you know.
I know my mother was outraged because the plaster come down on underneath her table that we only ever used on the Christmas day.
What, in the lounge? It was only kept for high days. 5 years younger than Gerald, so I'm still, you know, obviously I don't know so much about Weymouth before the war because I was only 5 when the war started, so obviously it's, you know, my life was coloured in the war. I mean, the war was very important because obviously that was my first memories, really. I remember there was no school. You didn't have a school in the war, did you? You didn't go to school for some time because your school was bombed.
9 months, I think, I didn't go to school.
That's right, that's right. But we were lucky because we couldn't go to Cromwell Road Junior School. That's where we started, and they organised teaching in the houses where 6 children would go to somebody's house. And I'm not sure if it was a teacher that actually came or whether it was the mother of the house, you know, that decided to give us lessons. But that's my first memories of schooling. What difference did the Americans arriving make for you, Gerald? Because they made a difference in the pub, didn't they?
Yeah, they had things we'd never seen, like oranges and fruit and stuff that we hadn't. Pineapple, I hadn't seen a pineapple square, you know, a tin of pineapple.
Chunks.
We hadn't seen any for about 3 or 5 years, and my father said to one of these Americans, here, bring the boy in some pineapple, and he brought in a £7 tin. After they'd been on salty, come in, my father wouldn't close the pub, he'd let them stay open until they all came in for a drink. He didn't take any notice of the rules and regulations.
Your pub really had quite a few characters in it, didn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who do you remember from the pub?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson, yeah.
He worked down as a stoker on the ferry boat, another paddle boat.
On the paddle steamers?
Yeah, he had tattoos and a blue sweater.
Father used to be a proper wheeler dealer, but the interesting thing about it is that in those days the customers that were his customers were very high up in the town. It wasn't Joe Bloggs from round the corner, you know, it was the head of police and the JP and doctors and all sorts, you know, so consequently, yeah, it was a very, very interesting pub because you had these 2 stratas. You had him, who was the one that had the trouser legs tied up and used to come and eat the bread and onion every day? Chalker. What was he, a street cleaner or a...
Oh, he was a labourer.
A labourer.
He used to have a pig and shovel, dig trenches.
Did he? What? All right.
For, I don't know,
For waterworks?
water company or somebody.
Something, yeah. But I know you've told me about he used to come in with his dinner tied up in a red and white handkerchief, didn't
And
he?
always a certain size piece of cheese and a bit of bread. And a knife, and you get it out, and it's a real performance to get it ready.
And what did he drink with it?
3X.
3X.
Ooh.
There you are. 3X.
Well, that was like 5 pence a pint then.
5 pence a pint. Real strong stuff at 5 pence a pint. Because you're talking about a pub that had outside toilets and, well, sawdust on the floor, not quite.
No. We did have spittoons, which my father quickly got rid of. Nobody could hit the middle.
It was a real beer pub, wasn't it?
Well, they never had a license.
They never had a license for spirits, did they? So everybody came in there. And you sold vinegar. How much?
Oh, yeah.
How much was the vinegar?
4.8 a pint. Out of a wooden cask.
Out of a proper wooden oak cask, wasn't it?
Yeah, with a wooden tap.
And how did you open the barrels when you?
Oh, we had a gimlet, I think it was called.
Yes.
Put that through the top and put a
An
spile in there.
What, that a spile is a wooden peg?
Yeah.
A round peg that
Yeah.
you took. You made the hole, and then you put the wooden spile in straight away.
Yeah. You had 2 sorts. There was one that breathed and one that didn't. One was solid.
And it depended on the product, I suppose, with what you actually did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you had to hammer the tap
In the front.
into the front of the barrel.
Put brown paper around it. Brass tap. Put brown paper. Well, in the case of vinegar, it was a wooden tap.
Yes.
But you wrap the paper, folded the paper round the stem of the
To
tap.
make sure it took up the
And then
slack.
drank, and then drove it into the thing.
So you actually held it and you banged it with a hammer, and you had to knock the
Get it in and not waste it.
Yeah. I don't think there was bottled vinegar in those days, was there?
No, you took a jug.
You took a jug, and you took a pint jug, and you asked for a pint of vinegar, and they'd fill it up, and I suppose you took it home then and bottled it. But people used more vinegar in those days, didn't
Well,
they?
yes, they used it as a preservative, didn't they?
That's right.
Sashing mackerel and
Eggs.
eggs.
Eggs they used to, didn't they? They used to save the eggs in the summer when the hens were laying and put them in a...
Ah, no, that was water
That was
glass.
isinglass, wasn't it?
Water glass, they called
Water
that.
glass, yeah.
You got that from Boots and stirred it up. It went dry and white, but it preserved the eggs.
That's
It sealed them, that's all.
sealed the eggs, so the
But you
egg...
couldn't do duck eggs, you could only do chicken's eggs.
Oh, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I know about that, because I know my mother never did that. But then I'm 5 years younger, so
So you don't
obviously things changed.
know. I was
didn't
in
they?
a pub, so it was all
And,
different.
in the pubs there was always a separate place called the Jug and Bottle, and that was separate from the bar, so ladies could go to the Jug and Bottle and have a pint of vinegar and probably half a stout to go with it, and then they would take it home, and that was legitimate. You know, you didn't have to go through the main bar to actually ask for it. It was a bit sort of, sometimes they used to come in and quite sort of clandestine, didn't they?
Well, they used to
Didn't
come
want-
in and order it, and I was delivery boy.
Oh yes.
Take it round to their house when the old man was going to be asleep or something.
Who was it? It was Miss Olding, Mrs.
Yeah.
Olding, wasn't it? Mrs. Olding had a shop down on the same
Well,
high
she
street.
didn't. He is
Who
her
did,
son.
but she helped, didn't she? And she was one of these ladies that had her hair. And how did she have her hair?
On a phone.
2 phones here, wasn't it? 2 round coils, like defenders, like ear defenders, wasn't it? And they were all lovingly plaited. And didn't she have tortoises?
Yeah, well, yeah, she did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she had one, I don't know about any more.
But you used to have to go round the house when the old man, like you said, was either asleep or missing. And what did she have delivered then?
Guinness.
Guinness. In a jug. rather than a bottle?
No, bottle.
In a bottle. They never had Guinness on tap, did they? In Western Road there was a shop called Oatie's, and they used to cut the Swedes up into penny pieces, and they cut a loaf up into penny pieces. And you could either have the Swede or the loaf. You had to decide whether you wanted bread that day. You wanted Swede. I mean, it seems odd now but that's what we ate. So you think how good we were eating a penny piece of Swede every day. No wonder we've lived to the age we have, because there were no sweets or anything to buy. The things that were available to us were Horlicks tablets, which were square tablets with Horlicks printed on them. I can see them now, and you buy them in a packet. I never really liked Horlicks, but I suppose because they were sweet, we had them. Or Fisherman's Friends were another one.
No, Horlicks tablets are round, weren't they?
I thought they were square, darling, but you know, maybe memories are what they are. Might have been round, yeah. But Fisherman's Friends, they were actually a cough sweet.
Yeah, I know they were, yeah.
But we used to suck them as sweets because that was the only ones that were available. And things like fruit, like bananas, like Gerald was saying, bananas, and they just weren't. I mean, obviously as children, you could get apples because you could go scrumping for apples, and we used to go quite regularly, and you know, used to pick these little hard apples off the tree that were sour as far as you could never wait for them to ripen, because somebody else might have scrumped them by that time. But as the war went on, for holiday jobs, we used to go out as a family. I remember going out with my elder sister and 2 elder sisters I had, and I remember going out with them, and we would pick blackberries which we could sell to the cookery nook for 4p a pound, again old money. And if we really felt that we wanted to go for it, you could pick the rose hips from the wild roses that grew in the hedgerows along with the blackberries, and you actually got 6p a pound for those. And another thing, of course, we used to have fun with was on the marsh, where the sports centre is now, the running track is, they used that as a dump. And especially when the Americans left their camps around Weymouth, they used to dump all the equipment that they'd have there. I remember refrigeration, which we never had refrigeration in those days, but they used to have it. And they would dump a huge fridge which people would carry off because, you know, they could. But as children we used to make dens in bushes, and we'd get orange boxes with our shells, and anything we found like tinned fruit or tinned anything, we used to take it and put it in our den and guard it, because other people would come and raid the den, the other children would, if we weren't careful. I mean, bouncing a ball. I mean, we used to bounce the ball for hours on end just against the wall and catch it, then do turnarounds and catch it, see how many times you could turn around before you caught it. I mean, simple things. And skipping ropes. I mean, it wasn't a proper rope, it was a length of rope, which in our road, it wasn't a made-up road, so there was not many cars around. Nobody had cars in those days, and we'd stand on 2 pavements with the rope across the road, and we'd be turning the rope, and you have a whole tribe of children coming along, and they would jump in and sing a song. But we made very simple fun, really. And we used to keep ourselves occupied all day long, you know, it was no problem. We were always fetched in when it got dark, and we used to go in for meal times and that, but you know, there was never any problem with out playing. We were out playing all the time, and all the kids in the street, because it was a new estate and there were children, lots of children there, we always had mates to play with. You know, so it was quite a simple childhood. I mean, in the morning I'd have a paper round. I know when I was at the grammar school, because there was no money in the family, you know, you had to go out and earn it. And it was sort of, I suppose I must have been about 13, 14 when I started. And I remember my round was the Dennis Estate, and then Ivy Bank Villas, which is part of Chickrell Road, and Hardy Avenue and Markham Avenue. We used to go every day, come rain or shine, and deliver the papers for very little money. And then in the summer holidays we would go help picking plums or apples. There was an orchard round Randham's nursery. He had pear trees, plum trees, apple trees, and we used to go and pick fruit for, you know, for probably a bag of apples or a bag of plums. We probably didn't get any money for it, but, you know, we were happy to do that because we could take them home and we could all share them, because life was so different.